Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be going over the while loop. The while loop essentially allows us to do an operation multiple times until a certain user defined or programmer defined, because I guess the user is not going to be defining this, programmer defined like idea is reached. So let's make a few variables. We'll have integer x or integer I and integer j. We'll have I equal to 10 and j equal to 0. Now, let's say, or actually let's make a third integer. So, sorry, int I, comma, space, j, comma, space, and then we'll do t. And we'll make t equal to 1. Okay. So now we have these three variables, and we want to use a while loop to perform an operation on the t variable. How are we going to do this, and how many times do we want to do it? That's what we're trying to think of. Well, we already defined I and j, and that's actually what we're going to be using for our while loop, like conditional. So here's what a while loop looks like. You first type while, and then parentheses. Now in the parentheses, you're going to put a conditional statement, so like j is less than or equal to I, and that is what the while loop will look for. So let's actually do that. J is less than or equal to, equal to I, space, and then, whoa, did not mean to do that. Okay, and then our left curly bracket and a right curly bracket. Then we can go down here. Now what this does is so far say, while j is less than or equal to I, do whatever in these brackets. Now nothing's in these brackets right now, so nothing's going to happen. However, it's needed by C for you to have at least something in here. We could actually just put a semicolon and it would just do nothing forever. But we're actually going to do something better than that. So we're going to say while j is less than or equal to I, t is plus equal to t, semicolon. And then on the line under that, we're going to say j plus plus, semicolon. Now why are we saying j plus plus? We're saying j plus plus to make sure that j goes up. Now if j doesn't go up, this conditional statement will always equal to j will always be less than I if j never goes up at all. So we're going to make it go up so that it will do it 10 times. So we'll go through this once and it'll say t is plus equal to t, so we'll get 1 plus equals 1, so t will then equal 2. This will go up to 1, and it'll say is 1 less than or equal to 10. It's less than 10. It'll go through 2. 2 is less than or equal to 10, and then it'll go all the way up until we iterate this to 10, and it'll say 10. Is that less than or equal to 10? Yes. And then it'll iterate one more time. This will equal 11. It'll say is 11 less than or equal to 10? No, it's not. False. Stop this loop, and then we return 0. So that's all cool in theory, but let's see it actually work. Compile and run. So, I forgot. Outside of this while loop, we need to make a printf statement and say decimal \n and then t. Otherwise, we're not getting any output here. So compile and run this, and we get 2048, which is actually true, believe it or not. So, yeah. Now, if we wanted to, we could put the printf statement in there and see how much t changes each time. So what we would do is go down here below t, say printf, and then t, semicolon, save that, and compile and run. And so we see it adds t to t, and we get 1 plus 1 is 2. Then we have t plus t, which is 2 plus 2, we get 4. 4 plus 4, 8, 16 plus 16, blah, 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 blah. And this actually serves a reason, which I'll go over in a second. But, main point, back to the while loop. What we did here was we defined 3 variables. We set each one to a different value, I being the ideal integer that we want to loop through that many times. plus 1 because it starts at 0. And then we say j is what we want to test with, so we want to test j against I. T is the variable we want to manipulate, and the while loop basically says as long as the statement j is less than or equal to I, it evaluates to being true, then I want to do everything between these curly braces. And then this just does stuff that we've covered, like iteration, or not iteration, the while loop is iteration, like adding, printing, and then incrementing. So what you guys can do is actually make this do things for you. One thing that's kind of fun is just take like a take something like a character that's a hyphen, like that, and just print out the hyphen as many times as the loop goes on, and every time have it print out the hyphen, and you get kind of like a staircase looking thing. You can make designs with it, and iteration later on becomes very useful. We will actually be using it in our second project once we've covered for loops as well and other things, because I'm going to show you 2 ways to do that project. And yeah, so the while loop is pretty simple. There's not much more to it. The only thing that's really important is this right here. You want to make sure that this always evaluates to false at some point. Otherwise this will run on forever. Now maybe there's a program where you want to run on forever, and that's fine, like a window for example, if you decide to try and do that at some point, in which case I feel bad for you that you tried. But if you try that in C, you're going to have to use a while loop so that it will that's always true, so that the window will always stay open, and then you can have like some sort of call to close the window, I guess. But that's an example of when you would want this to evaluate to true always, but at some point make sure this evaluates to false. Otherwise you're going to end up with a program that just runs on forever, and eventually it'll crash because of memory leaks. And yeah, so just make sure that you understand how to do these right here. I mean, a less than and equals is pretty self-explanatory. You could also do less than, in which case once j is equal to I it would stop, and we would actually get a different answer, which you can see here. But just make sure you have that part down. And also remember, the conditional statement goes in parentheses, very important, and then all of the statements you want to execute go in curly braces. Now that's pretty much all I have to teach you, but one thing that may become important later is actually what this program outputs. This is binary, or at least like the exponential values of binary. Binary actually starts at 2 to the power of 0, which is the rightmost bit in memory equaling to 1, which I will draw diagrams later on when we actually need to learn this, but hey, if you guys are sticking around, you might as well learn this, right? And this was actually completely by accident, but I noticed it and I was like, awesome. So binary will go from 1, it'll go to 2, and then just doubles up all the way down. And this is how you get basically bits, which is a 1 or 0 in memory, turning into kilobits, which is 1,000 ones or zeros, and then megabits, which are like 1,000 bits, and so on. And you'll see that it just grows exponentially. And it's important to know this once we get into like pointers and stuff like that, so that you can understand how binary actually works. And so most things, right, like the operating system I'm running on is 64-bit. You won't usually see things like 128 and 256 and all that, but these ones down here are used, like you have 8-bit games and stuff like that, if any of you guys remember those, and 32-bit operating systems and so forth. The whole point here is that this is what memory will, these numbers become important when we start talking about memory. So yeah, it's kind of nice to know how these things grow. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The next one I'm going to be talking about the for loop, which is very closely related to the while loop, and I hope you guys enjoy that video as well. If you liked this video, please press the like button. That always helps spread the videos. Also, clicking the share button will always help. And if you want to see future videos, press the subscribe button, because hey, then you'll be notified whenever I make a new video. If you really like this for some reason, or you want to watch it later, click the favorite button, which also helps me out and makes other people more likely to see these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you later.